li se dicit, mulier mea nubera mala, quam mihi, non si se Jupiter ipsa petat. Dicit, sed mulier Cupido quod dicit amanti, inventet rapida scriber oportet aqua. Poem 70 is the first in a bunch of poems in the 70s and 80s, which reflects on the failure of Catullus' relationship with Lesbia. The meter is elegiac couplets, with the first of the two lines as a hexameter, and the second line in a quasi-pentameter. All of the poems of Catullus, from number 65 on, are in elegiac couplets. It's important to think of Catullus' short elegiac poems in terms of halves. Here, the first couplet sets up the situation, while the second couplet resolves it. And we end with a nice paraphrase of a quote from Sophocles. So this poem is only 4 lines long, but the grammar isn't as simple as the length. It's always helpful to look at the main verb and its subject first. So here the verb is dicit, and since the T ending tells us it's third person singular, mulier mea must be the subject. It's interesting, though. The caesuras in the hexameter really set off these two words, as if Catullus is choosing his words very carefully. And also, he's referring to his girl not as mea puella, but as the more formal, careful, and less endearing mulier mea. Of course, this prepares the way for the more general use of mulier in line 3. Okay, dicit is a head verb, says, and we have the subject accusative se towards the beginning of the line, which reflects back to the subject of dicit, so she, and 2 infinitives at the end of the line, nubera to marry and mala to prefer. Mala is actually magis vella, to want more, in a contracted form, and it takes a complementary infinitive. Nubera is a special verb and takes a dative case as its object. You could easily translate this as to get married to. Its dative object is nulli, no one. But since mala is to prefer, it sets up a natural comparison. You prefer to do something more than something else, and that's where the quam mihi comes in. With the condition at the end of the second line, check out the tense and mood of the verb petat. The a betrays the fact that this third conjugation verb is present subjunctive. We fear a liar. This is a future less vivid condition, also known as the should-would, because that's how you translate it. The se, again, reflects back to our woman, mulier. The repetition of dicit in line 3 reinforces the fact that she said it. That's what she says. That's what she says. And we get dicit repeated again later on in this line, along with mulier. And in fact, this line duplicates the meaning of the first line, but with a different tone. Cupido goes with amanti, and it's dative. It's who she says this to. And quod is the object of dicit, and it sets up the last line, what she says. This final line recalls a quote from Sophocles, I write a woman's oaths in water, which is out of context, so don't judge him. With Catullus, though, it's a much different thing. What Lesbia says probably should be written in the wind and rapid water. By referencing the great tragic poet Sophocles, though, Catullus keeps himself above the pettiness of calling Lesbia fickle and a liar. Plus, we should consider Catullus' context here. It's not just what a woman says that can't be trusted, but what Lesbia says to her lover, who is credulous and gullible, especially infected with desire for his woman. Let's use this to reflect on Catullus' relationship with Lesbia as a whole. Poem 70 is the first of 3 companion poems that mull over the status of his relationship, now falling apart, with Lesbia. Let's read it again. Nulli se dicit, mulier mea nubera mala, quam mihi, non si se Jupiter ipsa petat. Dicit, sed mulier Cupido quod dicit amanti, inventet rapida scriber oportet aqua.